Hello everybody. This is going to be the first video in a couple videos going over our lab this week, and we are going to discuss setting up things for laser cutting and engraving. And this follows some videos that I made earlier about how I can construct a lamp, just something that was relatively quick, and I hope you look at those videos to give yourself reference on maybe a method to construct something. And I will also be making more videos on other options for making other lamps and other techniques and things like that. But I wanted to show you this. This is a RHSS single stroke font for engraving. And this is important in the CNC world because so a lot of times fonts, if you actually break it down into its curves and its vectors, it is actually a lot of lines. And so this is a font for one single stroke line, and that's going to be very useful for labeling things and engraving things. So this is up on Basecamp. Please download it, please install it, and I recommend installing it before you get started with the lab so that that font is available when you use your text command in Rhino. All right, so we're gonna minimize this, maximize our Rhino window, and this file is going to be online. This is our finished lamp. Let's see, we can turn off some of these layers, and this is what it would look like complete. This really crazy, weird light bulb thing, and I'm gonna turn on the lamp. So that's our light bulb right there in the middle, and it's gonna hang from the ceiling or do whatever, wherever we want to place it. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide this. We're going to hide this laser. And we're just going to show our separate pieces right here. And if you look over here in the layers folder, you can see that I have a separate layer for laser cutting, and then in it I have material. I have specifics for the rib cut, the shingle cut, and the ring cuts. So please set up your layers like this because it's going to be a whole lot easier to just start to organize things. And I'll go into details about that. But I'm going to first start with the material cut, and I'm going to work in the top view. And I'm just going to throw down the rectangle the size of the laser cutter, just kind of like what we did in the beginning when I was trying to get a sense for how big I could make this lamp. So the laser cutter is 24 by 18, so my first corner is going to be at the coordinate system, and 24, 18. So that's the bed of the laser. And up here in material, I'm also going to change the line type up here in the print width. That is because when I'm cutting, when I send my material or my setting properties and where I'm going to view the objects I'm going to cut, if this box were set to a width, it would try to cut it out. So I want to change that, and I'm going to come over here to print width, and I'm going to change that to no print. So it's going to be displayed here, but when I go to actually try to laser cut this, it's not going to come up. All right, so in perspective mode, I'm just going to start off super easy peasy. I'm going to turn off the shingles or hide the shingles layer. In this layer, just to keep things easy, and hide the rings because I'm just going to work with this rib layer right here, and I'm going to select that. And we went over this in class, but I'm just going to use the unroll surface command. It's super easy command, and it's just a nice quick way of taking that geometry and essentially flattening it. And then I can move this to my other layer, my rib layer, move objects to this layer. And I'm going to just work in that layer. And I'm going to hide that layer. So I've got, from the top view, this is what I've got here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to curve from objects, and I'm going to duplicate that face border. Because really all I need are the curves. And that's what I am looking for. And what I can do next is I'm going to add some text to this just to signify where specific shingles are going to be inserted into this rib. So when I look at my shingles, I've got, wrong one. I've got 12 different ones. They're all different. And so I need to label these. And what I might do is label a little note on the underside after I unroll them and extract those curves. And think about this as a product. If you've got 12 different ones, how are people going to know which ones are which? You have to let them know. You have to walk them through the construction of this piece. And the more information you give them, the more intuitive it can be. So I'm going to come up to my text command, and I'm going to search for that RHSS font, which I've already got selected here. And I'm going to make this a 0.25 height. And it looks all kind of crazy, this font, but it'll come out as a single line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And from there I can generate other options. And it says I'm working in this layer. I'm going to work in this layer. And I am going to actually select this object. And I'm going to come over here to Properties panel. And I'm going to change this color, specifically let's first move it to this layer, and then display color is going to be custom. I'm going to change that to just something easy, RGB scale, and I'm just going to do straight red, okay? And in the laser, different colors can be specified to have different settings, and we'll go over that. So I'm actually going to engrave these numbers on here on each rib, just so people know and understand that that is where those specific shingles need to go. I'm going to turn off Gumball right now. All right, so, and I'm going to have to copy these numbers. Let's put them somewhere close. And 12 will come back up here. Oh, do I have 13? I guess I have 13. Mind blown. Lucky 13. Oh, that's because I forgot 11. There's not 13. Oh my gosh, it's a long day, folks. It's a long day. As I'm sure you are also experiencing long days. It's just going to be that way. For a little while. All right, look at that. We're good to go. And what I can do here is I can just do BMT, not bottom, but bottom, middle, top, because they're separate completely separate parts compared to the shingles. Oh, what? Where did the T go? That's weird. Maybe I hit I instead. There we go. T. And I'm going to select these guys. Oh, I just totally left the T there. And I'm going to also change the display color on that to red. Delete these extra lines. So that is what we're looking for, because we just want to give people that information. And I'm going to group this because it's just going to be way easier to move this around. And then what I can do is rotate this. I don't really care where I start from, but what I can do is rotate it, and then I can array it because I need to cut 10 of these, right? So rectangular array, number in the x direction is 1, y direction is going to be 10, and then I can just see how many I can fit in there. And it's looking like I'm going to have to try to go in a different direction, potentially. So let's try that again, but I'll do linear array. And I'll say 10. And then I'll come down and see, you see how I can kind of give that a little bit of an angle, and I can fit a whole lot more in there. And it's okay if you can get them like super close. The laser is actually pretty good about getting things really close. So I'm going to do that. And look at that. Beautiful. All nested in there nicely. Cool. So now what I can do is I can come over here to the same shingle cut, or I can do rib cut. Why don't we do ring cuts first? And I'm about to sneeze, so... Oh. Totally missed it. Oh, man. I swear I was about to sneeze there. All right, so let's look at our rings. Going to show these rings, go into perspective mode. And I can just unroll these surfaces and go through that same process of oops, nope, I don't care. And I could label these, bottom, middle, top, just so people have that reference. So I'm going to now hide this. And I'm going to just quickly go through that process again. Curve from objects, duplicate face. Border, and I'll just do all of them. Boom. And I don't need surfaces. You could leave their surfaces in there, but it's just extra information that you don't really need at the moment. All right, so now I'm just going to group the big boy and group these other ones. Oh, not together, of course. And I can see that I can fit some of them on here, which isn't a bad idea. And the nice thing is I can actually fit some of them inside each other. Now this big boy here, I'm probably going to have to cut out a whole separate sheet, maybe with some of those shingles. But that's something we'll look for later. And then I can come back, add my text in here, and label that. Now the last thing for this video is I'm just going to unroll one of the shingles. Let's see, we will work in the shingles layer. I'll hide this layer, hide rib layer, and go to perspective layer. And again, it's very similar. I'm just going to select this and do unroll. And hit enter, and there is our nice piece right here. Let's go to top view, and what you can also do that's really fun, curve from objects, duplicate face border, is once you've got, oh, once you've got this, you could potentially add other things in here, other things you might want to engrave, patterns, textures, images, whatever you want. I think I might try to go for like maybe a crazy leaf pattern or hole pattern. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't know. I want to kind of play around with this to do something else, do something interesting, because while this is also an interesting shape, it's another opportunity that you have to add something unique and extra and aesthetically interesting. And because you will have all those shapes, once you unroll them, then you could use, for example, tween curves, which in the next video, we'll kind of talk more about that to make these interesting shapes. So I'm going to stop there for right now and see you in the next